Alright, so in this video we are going to talk about French composer Olivier Messiaen, and I don't believe that he's in even the 9th edition, but I always cover this particular piece of music. It's historically important, it's very apropos in a way based on our quarantine time, and it's good to take a look at someone like Messiaen, who is essentially probably the most important composer of Catholic music of the 20th century. Even though we know him for a lot of other reasons. He was a noted organ player, and he wrote lots of religious music. And in a way, this is a piece of religious music in a very different way. So Olivier Messiaen was captured by the German. Was captured by German soldiers, sorry for that brain fart there, in 1940. And he was put into a camp called Stalag 8A. And this was kind of a rural camp, and so it wasn't quite as brutal and gruesome as some of the other concentration camps. While he was in this camp, he was able to negotiate with soldiers to give him some sheet music paper and some pencils to write music. He said he was a composer. He was a little bit older. He was in his 30s, I think, at this time, so he wasn't exactly a young, bustling soldier. And there were a couple of other musicians in the prison as well. So he begins to write a piece of music as he's contemplating the end of time. Now, we're not exactly sure in all ways exactly how he's approaching the concept of the end of time. We don't know necessarily if being in this concentration camp that he's perceiving, this world war as the end of time. Is his sort of purgatory in this camp the end of time? Or was he literally talking about end of time? We do know that he was inspired by a certain part of the book of Revelations when he wrote the quartet for the end of time. So it's for 4 instruments. There were 3 available in the prison at the time, and then he was able to get them to bring in a piano. And so he wrote the piano piece kind of in a way afterwards into the piece. And each movement deals with the concept of time and space in a variety of ways. It was premiered actually in prison in 1941, in the actual prison camp that he was housed in Stalag 8A. This is really kind of a meditation on otherworldliness, the concept of time versus space, and the concept of sort of knowing where you are in time. Messiaen will later go on to influence many, many groups of composers, the composers of serial music and the composers of spectral music. Spectral music are composers that focus on timbre or the color of sound as their main idea, more than, say, particular pitches or scales. And so you will be listening to the last movement, which is praise to the immortality of Jesus. And in this, you're going to kind of hear this repetitive pattern in the piano that slowly changes over time, these sort of thick chords that are kind of tonal and kind of non-tonal. This music isn't in a key, but it does use some familiar sounds. What I want you to listen for in the quartet, in that last movement, which is only not for the full quartet, but just for the piano and the violin, listen for the repetition of the piano part and how it begins to distort your concept of how many times you've heard that. The ending of this piece is one of the most magical endings of any piece in the 20th century. It is profound in the way that it ends. Actually, it's just a really profound piece in totality. But given that we are also, or at least those of us who aren't essential employees, are stuck in sort of quarantine, and we're all kind of stuck in a similar situation where we're imprisoned by the concept of time, it's a fitting piece for the 20th century. So please listen to the link for the last movement of Olivier Messiaen's Quartet for the End of Time.